Hey, it's Ashley K. My dad and I have been mining for about 7 months, and last month we hit ROI. So, as a mini celebration, I decided to put together a couple of videos explaining the journey we've taken from April until today. Hope you like it. This video is also letting you know that you can do this. I live in Texas where it's hot most of the year, humid most of the year, and we were able to find a way to make this work. But if you're going to make it work, do it the right way. After studying cryptocurrency for a couple of months and doing some desktop mining, my dad and I decided that we were going to go the Antminer L3 Plus route. So all of our mining gear is based on the L3 Plus. In April, it started with one miner, and as many of you know, that starts to multiply quickly if you want to get invested. And so this is the first miner that we bought, taught us about power and cooling and electricity and cost. And before long, this miner turned into two miners. The idea here was pretty simple. Put the miners in my office, use the AC cooling, and we discovered a pretty cool thing of pointing the miners towards the return air, and that helped keep the miners cool, minimize noise, minimize air conditioning costs. But once we moved on from two to four miners, this had to get out of the house. As you know, ant miners are extremely loud, as shown in this video. What you see here is a 9U server rack enclosure. We mounted that in the garage, and we tried to make it a temperature controlled server room. And the way that we did this was use the AC duct on the left to pipe some AC from the house into the box, and then the miners would then shoot the heat out of the box. And this is an idea of using cool ambient air sucking from the nearby room and trying to create a nice, cool, controlled room. However, this had its flaws. We couldn't keep the ambient temperature down, and the noise was quite loud. A couple of weeks later, we had a major breakthrough via an HVAC guy that is now a full-time miner. He taught me about negative pressure being the most important way of cooling your miners. And in this video, you're seeing two amp miners in an igloo cooler inside of a 105-degree Fahrenheit garage, with the only thing cooling them is an exhaust fan pulling heat and pulling air through the miners. This was a huge breakthrough for us because the miners were using less energy, they were using less fan speed, they were staying cooler than they were in the box, and this set us up for the design that we have today. The current design, besides being amazingly quiet, as you'll notice in the video, I mean, you can have a conversation right next to the cabinet and it doesn't bother you. The goals we achieved were a flexible design and adequate cooling. This is a traditional HP 42U server rack. We've run 220 power with 40 amps to the wall that's behind the cabinet. Those feed into PDUs for the miners. Those PDUs are from APC. And I have fiber from the other side of the house running wire through the attic to the switch. And so that gives me all the network that I need. I also have a micro desktop that's inside the cabinet that allows me to do VPN and monitoring for the miners. We think we can probably fit 15 miners in here, but the real magic is when you're on the back side of the cabinet and you'll see that the fan is pulling air through the miners up into the attic. And this also solved the problem that people ask in the South, which is humidity. And by allowing your miners to run at a target temperature instead of the coolest they can be, that target temperature allows the miner to heat up, thus heating up the air around it, making it drier. And so that will help prevent corrosion and bearings going out and things like that. And so as you walk around to the side of the house, you'll see where the line comes from the wall over to the breaker panel. And we've installed a way to monitor the power, the amperage, the kilowatt hours. And this is where we are today, and we love it. 5 quick closing thoughts for you that have helped my mining journey. Number one, have basic knowledge of power, cooling, IT, cryptocurrency, and know your electric plan through and through. You may even consider changing your electric plan. Basic knowledge of all this stuff is essential to getting into this business. And don't be afraid to ask anybody. These people on Reddit are great. There are people on Discord that are great. Wherever you're doing your social networking for cryptocurrency, don't be afraid to ask questions. Number two, know what you're going to mine and have a plan for how you mine it. I personally merge mine Litecoin, sometimes Litecoin payout, sometimes Litecoin plus Doge. I switch pools based on what's going on in the world or PPS rates. And so I have a plan for monitoring that daily, watching the difficulties, watching what I'm getting paid out and if I'm happy with it. The third thing is knowing your wallet situation. I prefer cold wallet. Ledger Nano S is what I have. I'd like to have control of my private keys. I don't want anybody else to have control of those. Other people prefer online wallets, and that's great. That's just not for me, but I don't have anything against them. It's just not for me. Number four, keep a budget and stick to it. Track everything that you spend. Once you commit to this project, there are going to be things that you just don't even consider. Like when we bought miners, we weren't thinking down the road about server racks and spare parts and infrastructure and repairs and electric bills. And those are things that we learned the hard way along the way. And now we've got a groove of how we track those things and how they play into our return on investment. And the final thing is that have a plan for not only achieving ROI, but once you break even, have a plan for cashing out too. You need to look at what you've spent and what your tax situation is going to be because you've made an investment. You deserve to be paid. Get yourself out of the red, get in the black, and move forward. This is Ashley K signing off. Happy to answer any questions, and I can't wait to expand my setup. I'll post videos more in the future.